As the gentleman in the back has been waiting.
Al Milliken, AM Media. What more do you know about the lawsuit? I believe it's $5 million against one of the whistleblowers, Anita, I believe, who formerly worked for Acorn. I was able to meet her Friday at the Accuracy in Media conference, but I was also wondering if Judicial Watch provides any support for whistleblowers such as her.
Finally, you get a question.
Well, we do provide support for whistleblowers like that, but we're not representing Anita Moncrief, who's provided a lot of information about some of Acorn's activities to the New York Times and is being sued. Well, has she testified before the committee, or have you talked to them?
Our committee has talked. What I will tell you is that the federal government has strong whistleblower statute. It doesn't apply to her, unfortunately, and it's unfair. We don't provide relief for even former members who are asked to testify, and it's probably one of the big mistakes is that our need to know is not protected as well as the press's shield of their sources, and it should be. The United States government should make sure that anyone can come forward and not fear prosecution, persecution, or financial ruin. And right now, we don't do a good enough job for non-federal workers. So I'm only going to tell you we don't do enough, and that is something that over time we have to reauthorize and improve our whistleblowers statute, because it should be an umbrella that protects everyone, including from vindictive lawsuits after the fact.
Well, I can tell you, working with whistleblowers, at least in the government, the whistleblower statutes are terribly ineffective. I mean, you know, whistleblowers generally have to decide whether or not they're going to end their career by coming forward. One of two options.
It is one of the great dilemmas is how do we separate the, quote, whistleblower from the disgruntled employee? And I will tell you, I support we have to separate the two, but if someone's determined to be a whistleblower, you're right. We have to find a way to make sure that their career can progress, and right now we don't do it very well. You're exactly right.
Other questions or comments? There's one in the back over here. I want to go to this side of the room.
Yeah, but he's got an Army pin on.
Oh, well, we'll get to him right after. Sorry, sir. Go ahead,
Joseph
sir.
Warren.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, I'm a member of Judicial Watch.
Thank you.
If you look at responsibility for the housing collapse, you can see a number of possible culprits. For example, if you look at CNBC on TV or the Wall Street Journal reading articles, they say, well, it's the Federal Reserve policy with excessively low interest rates in 04 and 05. Or if you look at conservatives, they say, well, it was the CRA, as you've discussed, as amended in 1995. Also, if you look at Senator McCain's efforts in 04, I believe, to get hearings in the Senate on limiting Fannie Mae's lending authority, that went nowhere because the Republicans didn't support him. So in view of this, I'd just like to ask you, is it possible under the current political climate to have a bipartisan approach to looking at where responsibility lies? Because it seems to me it lies in several different areas. And if not, then what can be done about it?
Well, you used the word that we use in Washington a lot, bipartisan, and the answer is no. No, you won't get a bipartisan solution. You'll get a tripartisan solution. If members of the Republican and Democratic Party are faced with angry constituents and a driven press that wants to get to the bottom of it, then you will. Right now, I think we have the angry constituents. I think we're beginning to have a press that is paying more and more attention to wanting a broader and broader investigation. And if you do that, we'll get there. But, you know, unfortunately, if you leave it to Republicans and Democrats, right now Mike Oxley, who I served with obviously, is blaming Barney Frank for what he couldn't get done on his watch. Barney, of course, is taking credit for getting done on his watch basically the compromise that he decided he didn't even want later. I think both of them should be ashamed that they were not more outspoken, that they were not willing to confront members of their own parties to get something better. Now, Mike tells me the things I want to hear that should have been done. Barney tells me he did everything that needed to be done, but it was too late. I don't know which one's telling the truth. I suspect the truth lies in neither one of their camps.
Yes, we have a question up front here.
Yes, sir.
Steve Jaffe. I'm just a retired old Army officer. And
which branch?
Army.
Army, but which?
Okay, well, I started out in the infantry, but I did other things too.
I know. Moving on from the infantry is pretty common. Okay.
Well, in any case, I'm also a disgruntled voter.
The backbone of American politics.
But in any case, you broached a certain subject in one of your earlier comments, and I'd like you to address the problem of set-asides, such as my personal congressman in the 8th District of Virginia and Mr. Murtha, who alleges to be a military hero himself. How is it going to be ever controlled?
Well, I'm not going to disparage Mr. Murtha. I will tell you Duke Cunningham was a military hero. You got to be a hero every day.
Moran.
No, I'm saying, but Duke Cunningham, who's now in jail for basically selling his vote, was a military hero. You got to be a hero every day. Every day you got to get up and say, I'm not selling myself out. Those who have pet projects in their district that seem to have too close a correlation with campaign support or even personal gain, I think should be drummed out. And I don't think that's a Republican or a Democrat thing. I think we've had too many people who allow dollars to follow them for pet projects. I think if you're a hawk and you're supporting the military, and what a surprise, you have defense contractors thinking you're a good guy, that's fine. But when you see a specific project and you see the direct recipients giving to your campaign, or sometimes, in the case of one congressman, even partners in the buildings that these groups are using, it crosses a line. But as my Chairman Towns said, we're not the Super Ethics Committee. So will I happily agree with you? Yes. Is my job going to be to look inward at members of Congress and say, this guy's got to go or that guy's got to go? No. Would I make changes if given the opportunity so that it couldn't happen again? Ending earmarks, ending altogether the idea that the Senate can add any originated program to something that left the House? Absolutely. Those changes and more. To be candid, part of what we could do is we could eliminate appropriations as a permanent committee. Not allow people to endlessly build this great power in the most powerful committee, but in fact cycle them off. Force them, if you will, to realize that they're going to have to spend a long career in other places and only a short time sitting there on the details of appropriation. It should be done. Chairman Murtha is somebody that I believe has long ago outlived what is currently the standard for ethics and should consider whether or not he should make real changes. And I would tell him that in addition to thanking him for his military service.